It's going to be recording for tonight.
Can you just check that her head's not in the way? Can you just check that her head's not in the way?
Might have to kick her off. It's moving. Yep. It's easy now.
Okay.
Communication. If you really expect us to run on time, you're 15 to
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Guys, we might just make a start now. Welcome to Electives night. We've got a pretty big turnout. My name is Christina. I'm your education officer for UMMSS. Can you guys hear me at the back? Yeah. Okay. So I'll just run you through how the night's going to work. You guys would have already met our sponsors outside. So we have DPM with us, Work the World, BIQ and MIPS, and they're part of the reason why you will have pizza available at about 7:30. So make sure you do check them out during the interval if you haven't already. The way tonight will work is that I will go through a few of the requirements that the medical school has for electives, what you'll need to do and what what their rules are. We have our AMSA exchange officer with us today as well, and she'll be talking about hosting exchange students and going on AMSA exchanges. You can see on the screen all the speakers that we have, if that helps. We'll have an interval at about 7:30, and then a few more speakers followed by a student panel. I know it looks overwhelming, but they're not speaking for too long, so it'll be okay. Okay. Those of you who have your raffle tickets with you as well, just make sure you hold on to them. We have a few textbooks here if you're into ED, emergency medicine. We'll do the prize draw at the end of the night. Okay. So just a few things. I know that a lot of you here are MD1 students, so electives are basically just voluntary clinical placements that you do at other hospitals. They can be in Melbourne, so we've had people do placements at St. Bees, Austin, Alfred, wherever you want to go, as long as it's not your home clinical school. Otherwise, you can go overseas, interstate. You just have to make sure that you enroll in the subject before you go, but because it's 0 credit, there's no fee. Although a lot of electives do actually have fees, so just make sure you check that out. It will appear on your transcript once you've applied for it, and you're allowed to do 2 per school year. So if you plan on doing 3, I don't know, just in case you wanted to, only 2 of them will count. You also will not be able to do these during teaching periods. So I know a lot of overseas electives will run, say, into February or during June, July, because that's when their summer holidays are. But the Melbourne Uni won't grant you a leave of absence if you choose to do your elective during those periods. Things have also changed in the last 2 years, I think. We are now eligible for funding. So Global Mobility will give you, well, maybe give you a $1,000 grant. That needs to be applied for. and you can only get that once during your degree. These electives generally need to be arranged on your own. So you apply, you confirm, and you organise your own travel accommodation. The elective applications will need to be submitted to the head of Department of Medical Education if you're an MD1, so that'll be Steve Trumbull, and your clinical deans if you're MD2 to 4. The medical school also just wanted me to say that once you do submit your application, you'll be sent an email asking you to provide the faculty with a study plan, but that's not actually required, so just ignore that email. Cool. So I might hand over to Anne now, who's our exchange officer, and she'll tell you about the program.
Hi everyone, I'm Annie and I'm the local exchange officer, and I'm super excited to talk to you a bit about the exchange program for those of you who might or might not have heard about it. So, oh, sorry, where's, got my PowerPoint. Okay. Okay. So, what is the AMSA exchange program? So, it's part of an initiative run by the International Federation of Medical Student Association, and it represents more than 1.2 million medical students across the world. And as you might know, we are represented here in Australia by AMSA. So the 4-week exchange program is initially started in 1950 in Denmark to support global health equity through bilateral exchanges. By that we mean we get students coming to Melbourne, and we get in turn Melbourne students going overseas to those countries. So since then we've had 13,000 students across the world involved in the program from more than 90 countries. So what do you gain out of this? So it's 4-week clinical placement, and it's all organised for you. So this is definitely the way to go if you want to save the hassle of organising the placement yourself. You get to preference the country, the city, and the specialty of your interest. 4-week accommodation is included, and you get at least a meal a day, so it's a pretty good deal. And the best part of the program is the social program. So as you hear from some of our returnees, you'll be basically integrated in the social program organised by the local exchange officer at the uni or hospital that you're going to. You meet basically students from all over the world who participate in the program. So I think this is a really fantastic opportunity to be immersed in the local culture and meet a lot of new people. And in the end, you get acknowledged by a certificate by IFMSA for your participants. So all this for $990, that will cover everything: accommodation, a meal a day, the clinical placement, but it excludes your flights, visas, and spending money. So when? Usually it's pretty flexible, so you get to preference the dates that you wish to go to. Most of our students go at the end of the year during the summer break. And so as Christine mentioned, it's recommended that you've usually in MD2 to MD4 when you have some clinical experience. So where can you go? This is really exciting because every year the countries change, and this year we've had a lot of new South American countries especially, as well as European countries. So for example, Greece, Iceland, Austria and Lithuania are all newly added. So in total, these 26 spots are available to be applied to across the country. So the 3 universities involved is University of Western Australia, our university, and UNISW. But exciting thing is, out of 26 spots, 10 spots would be definitely reserved for Melbourne Uni students. So there's quite a decent chance to apply. So I definitely encourage you all interested to apply. So how? So basically just navigate to the AMSA Exchange Program section on the UMMS website. There will be a link to fill in where you can submit the online form. And it's a pretty simple form. Basically, you just preference your 3 countries, describe a bit about what motivates you to apply, what you think you can gain out of the program. And what we're looking at is basically just your interest and desire to learn about the country's culture and health system. So maybe saying that you really have always wanted to travel the country isn't the best reason, even if that is your main reason. So there's a tip for you. So how is this selected? So it will be closed in a bit less than a month. We'll basically, the exchange subcommittee will rank your applications based on how well you've responded to questions. Those who have hosted or who are expressing interest to host the exchange student will be prioritized. But otherwise, the main thing is how strong your application is. The applications will, of course, be de-identified, and if the application exceeds the number of spots available, we'll pass it on to the National Exchange Officer, who will then do a second round of selection. So a bit about hosting. This is really exciting for those of you who might not consider going an elective but still want to get a taste of how it works. So in the picture, Nan, who's recently returned from Germany, she's also hosting Shabai, who's here tonight. So she just found that a really enjoyable experience. That's a little blurb from her. You only need to offer a bed and a meal a day, and you get reimbursed for your hospitality for $400 in total. So, but the main thing is you get prioritized for exchange. So for example, if you're in MD1 or 2, you're not sure yet, you can host first, and then the next year you apply, you'll get prioritized in your application. So for more information, just email me on exchange@ums.org.au. Of course, there's the UMS website where you can get more information, and most importantly, make sure you read the exchange conditions, because some of them have country-specific requirements. For example, if you want to go to Sweden, it's specific to say you can only go during July or August, obviously when it's like more sunlight, so it makes no sense. Yeah, so have a look at that, and really look forward to reading your applications. Yeah, thanks.
So our next speaker is Siobhan, who did her exchange in Morocco. Welcome.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Siobhan. Apologies, my PowerPoint formatting seems to have gone a bit wonky, and also my voice is a little bit off, so if you can't hear me, just let me know. So yes, I did my elective in Casablanca in Morocco in the hospital de Ibn Rushd. For those who don't know, Morocco is the northwest of Africa, not in Europe. It's just underneath Spain and near Algeria. And okay. So I spent 4 weeks in Casablanca, which is a public hospital. I was with the Department of Cardiovascular Surgery, but I also got an opportunity to do 2 days in the emergency department, which was definitely an eye-opener. The time that I had to be there was from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. every day, and I also had the opportunity to do a few night shifts. What I could actually do there, sadly I wasn't actually able to assist in any surgeries. I wasn't able to scrub in, but I saw amazing things, like open heart surgery was just something that I never got to do here in Melbourne, so I was really excited to see that. Yeah. And also it was just really exciting to see like the disparities in the way that they do healthcare over there versus here. For instance, during the anesthetics, sometimes patients would just wake up a lot, and that was a little bit scary, but supposedly that's really common like over there and in places where they don't have the like right monitoring equipment. Yeah. And in addition to that, some of the coolest stuff I saw was some congenital heart surgery. There was a pediatric mission from Denmark, and some of the doctors came and fixed like these crazy heart malformations and a tetralogy of Fallot, which was really cool to see. And also saw a Down syndrome baby who was like 42 weeks old, and it was just amazing seeing how they could put the tubes into the heart when it's like, I don't know, that small. It was amazing how they managed to do that. I listed like what the things that I learnt, but I guess medicine-wise, it was hard to truly get involved due to the language barrier. In Morocco, they speak French and Arabic, and I am pretty terrible at both of those. So that's always a consideration if you are going to do an elective overseas in a country that you don't speak the language in. Just do either like a surgical specialty or make sure that you speak like at least basic, because otherwise you won't be able to talk to the patients without an interpreter there. Okay. Okay. And here's some photos of me with, this is the cardiovascular surgery team. And this is a girl that I met from Chile. She was really lovely. And this is a guy from Brazil. And this is my friend Kamar, who like basically took me under her wing and showed me all around the hospital and translated, and yeah. So be really nice to the local students and I'll help you out. Here's the cost. So instead of 900, that's 990. So I think it was a really good deal compared to some of the electives that I've started looking at right now. Some of them cost like $3,000 or $4,000. This was only 990, and you get a meal a day, accommodation. I stayed with a host family, like a medical student in Morocco, and her family was so lovely and they're so accommodating. And they just tried to feed me all the time, which is really nice. Yep. Okay. The flights, I guess, if you're going overseas, always consider how much that's going to be. I managed to get free health insurance and travel insurance through UniMelb. I can't remember the exact way to do that, but I'm sure they might tell you tonight. I was going to get free indemnity insurance as well, but then they wouldn't translate it into French for me, so I had to pay like $50 for that, which was like nothing, and I had to pay for scrubs. Also factor in traveling. Like if you're going to an amazing country, you're always going to want to travel. Like every weekend, try and get out and see little bits of the country. That was like one of the highlights of me going to Morocco. It was such a beautiful country. And food, well, yes, it was really cheap. And here's, I just put this in for like a little bit of the culture. This is like a traditional Moroccan like living room. They each house normally has like 3, and they're on multiple levels, and they have like anyway. And here's some more of the food. This is us eating couscous at some of the medical students' house. You eat on the floor with your hands. Yeah. Okay. And just finally, like a little bit about the amazing things you can do in Morocco. Sadly, I don't think it's available for this year, but if it was, or if you just want to travel there, I highly recommend it. Yeah. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
There'll be a 20-minute student panel at the end, so if you have questions, feel free to ask them as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have MIPS, who is one of our sponsors, and they will be talking about indemnity insurance. Okay, guys. Thank you. Okay, guys. So firstly, I'm not Margaret, I'm Nicola. Marg is actually in Ballarat, so excuse me for doing her presentation. Look, you probably are all MIPS members. You probably joined on the very first day of orientation, and you joined for the water bottle, not because you knew anything about why you needed medical indemnity. So indemnity, basically, in a nutshell, what we do is we will protect you for things you do wrong, things you forget to do, or the things that, things you do wrong, basically. If ever anything happens as a student and you think that wasn't quite right, you can ring one of your medical indemnity providers up and we can help you there. Just work my way through here. So membership with us is free, and it does extend to your elective placement as long as you're not going to a country that is covered by US law. US just have funny indemnity laws, and we don't bother trying to work out what's happening in each state. So as long as you're going somewhere that's not under US, we can provide you with that cover. It is free. All you need to do is tell us where you're going and how long you're going for.
If you are going overseas, we can probably extend that to include your travel insurance as well. It just needs to be that the majority of your time needs to be to do the elective. Last year, we actually provided indemnity for over 1,000 students in Australia, and within that there were 104 Melbourne Uni students who used us for their indemnity last year, for their elective. And that's where the top 5 MIPS members, so within Australia, most do use us for their Australian placements, and they're probably the John Flynn events. That's probably where they are. But Nepal, Philippines, UK and Singapore were the next most popular. As I said, it's really easy to do. You just need to jump online, fill out a form, tell us where you're going. We will send you a confirmation of cover letter, which you can take with you and provide to the clinic or the hospital where you're going. You can also download a certificate of currency at any time if you need that as well. We often get asked, what else do you provide as a med student? If ever you get asked anything and you're just not sure, give us a call. You can phone any one of the 4 NGOs and we will give you that advice free of charge. We have helped some students who have done things that perhaps they shouldn't have on Facebook, and we've helped them get out of trouble there as well. But look, I'll be here at the break. So if you do have any questions, come and have a chat. We do cover in France and policies in French, so I'm not quite sure what happened wherever you've gone, but please come and see me at the break. Thanks for your time.
Next up we have Anthony, who did his placement in Broken Hill as part of the Royal Flying Doctor Service. So please welcome Anthony.
All right. So my name's Anthony. I'm one of the MD4s. I've been at the Northern and St Vincent Clinical School. So if any of the MD1s are choosing now, highly recommend both of those. So I chose to do my elective with the Flying Doctor Service and also the Broken Hill Base Hospital there. So my reason for picking there was I'd been in the hospital for a year, sort of MD2. Wasn't a huge fan of the hospital. I mean, it gets pretty depressing in there sometimes. I thought, how can I use my skills outside the hospital in a different environment? And I thought, one in the country, I like planes, get to be really reliant on your sort of non-investigational skills. So get really good at your examination history, just that clinical acumen, ABCDs, all the sort of fundamentals, and also some rural and Indigenous experience. So one benefit that hasn't been mentioned yet, if you do your 4-week elective in a rural environment, when you do your rural GP placement, you can do it in a metro area. So if that's a consideration for some of you, definitely think about that. And I thought I'd get some exotic conditions, to be honest. It's still just heaps of diabetes, vascular, the usual suspects. You do get the odd exotic things. So we saw some Q fever, which I think the last I heard of that was one of Roy's lectures in MD1. And yeah, so this is where Broken Hill is. I didn't really know where it was, to be honest. So with these electives, your biggest barrier to getting them is not asking. You'd be surprised the amount of people I know who've got these amazing sounding electives just by calling and asking. It's really surprising. So 3/4 of it is just working out who you need to ask. You'll call up and they'll say, I'm not the person who handles that. Just say, who is? And I'll keep directing you around. Eventually you'll get the right person. So that was with me. I wanted to do this. I called around all the Flying Doctor bases. Eventually Southeast one in Broken Hill said, yes, we do take students. Here's the form. Fantastic. Here it is. So it's on the border of Broken Hill. New South Wales. So just on the western border there. It's about 1,000 kilometres northwest of Melbourne. So it's a decent drive. Or you can take a very, very light plane via Mildura. I definitely bring my car because there's not really much other way of getting around the town other than that. So yeah, getting shopping, things like that, the car comes in handy. So these are the sort of small communities that this base services. So we've got a variety of Indigenous communities like Ivanhoe, Menindee, some just small farming communities, Louth, White Cliffs, that sort of thing. You're covering a massive area, so 640,000 square kilometres It's probably more of Australia than I'd seen the rest of my life. So, and from the sky, you get a really good view of all of that. It's not that small a town. I thought it was going to be like this shanty thing, but it's actually quite big. We've got 10 or 20,000 people. It's a nice main strip. Their little claim to fame, a lot of it is that part of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert was filmed there, so they like to bring that up a lot. That's your main strip there again. Lots of shops, old sort of architecture, that sort of thing. In reality, outside of that, for about 200 kilometres any direction, is what it looks like. That's an emu I saw once. To be honest, most of the things you see is goats. It's not really kangaroos. I don't know why, but there's goats everywhere. If you are curious and you want to look around, there's some amazing sites though. So there's a nearby sort of Mesa. It's got these sculptures from famous sculptors are up there. Supposedly at sunset, makes some cool shadows and it's seen through different holes. Good photo, good Instagram opportunity. Yeah, and there's a lot of things to do around town. There's a really strong sort of social community. In terms of accommodation and where you stay, it's probably the cheapest elective you'll find. It was cheaper than living in Melbourne. So $50 a week. I got to stay in a pretty spacious unit. Everyone gets their own bedroom, their own bathroom, all your utilities and internet's included. So pretty cheap. Generous living kitchen. And you're with other sort of health science students. So you might be staying with some speech paths from La Trobe, some other med students doing John Flynn, USyd nursing. There's a few psychologists there. And it's all organised by the University of Sydney staff. So Broken Hill is one of the University of Sydney Medical School's clinical locations. So you organise it through them and all the accommodation's organised. So I just rocked up and they gave me a key and, went basically and everything was set up already. Free Wi-Fi too. In terms of the elective itself, sorry, it's a bit of a brick of text, but you've got three sort of main flights and it gives you a mix of a lot of different areas of medicine. So you've got your clinic flights, which are your main daytime ones. You might get booked in for 2 a week or so. You'll fly to a remote community and flying doctors have set up these sort of medical consultation rooms inside these communities with sort of chests of different medications you might need. So these are communities where there is no medical access. By plane, it might take us 4 hours. By car on these dirt roads, it might take them 10. So really, you're the only doctor they see. It might be 3 months of problems building up. So you get some really interesting consultations. Generally, the doctors will let you run your own room. So these flights generally have locum GPs. There'll be a resident or a registrar from Broken Hill Base Hospital with you as well. And that's a great opportunity to sort of practice your history taking. You've got emergency retrieval flights where you're on call. So basically you carry a pager, that buzzes, you've got to get to the base in 20 minutes. From the furthest point of town by car, it's about 10 minutes. So you just sort of have your go bag ready, get ready to go. I've put there, it can be day or night. Nighttime flights, really surreal. You don't know if there's no lights anywhere, basically. So you don't know if you're moving, you don't know what's up or down. Very interesting. And they can be rare or common. So I had a 2-week period where there was no emergency retrieval flights, which is obviously good for the population of Broken Hill, but not that interesting for me. And then, the next week we had tons of them. So things we saw, Q fever, which comes from sort of it's rickettsia infection from, I don't know, I think it's the dust basically on livestock. So a lot of people dealing with livestock haven't been vaccinated. We'll get that. And a lot of quad bike flips. So there's a lot of trauma. They use quad bikes, different machinery to round up livestock as well. And on the rocky ground, they tend to roll over and they get stuck. You get the call, you go get them. Put them in a C-spine collar and get them back to base pretty much. You've also got transfer flights, so stable patients from Broken Hill Base Hospital. So obviously there's no ventilators, there's no angiography, complex surgeries, things like that. So any patient that comes in with, anything needing services we don't have there, we'll transfer to Adelaide or Sydney. That's the route. So I thought I'd bring that up. These planes specially modified to land on small runways. And as you come down, there'll usually be some kangaroos on the runway. So to stop you hitting them, you call ahead about 2 minutes early and the ute chases the kangaroos away. And then you can land. So I thought that was pretty interesting. If you ask nicely, they'll let you sit in the cockpit. It's a bit of a tight squeeze. There's no aircon. What they do is they open the window if you're a bit too hot. You're only flying at low altitude, so apparently that's okay. Sort of looks like inside, it's pretty cramped. So on the right there, that's the bed where the patient would be. So when you pick them up, the side of the plane comes off and this sort of winch crane thing comes out. You load the patient on and they swing back in, the plane closes up. All your sort of, pressure, oxygen lines coming off the side there. You've got your defibrillator, ECG machines, everything you need is in there, but it's a tight squeeze. a lot of different considerations with those small planes. So you've got to balance the weight. So if you have a fat guy on one side and a skinny on the other, you'll tip. So you've got to balance out the crates and the people and all sorts of things. Very interesting. Socially, there's an amazing student community there. So like I said, lots of different health students from a variety of different universities. And when you get there, you know, when I got there, at least, roommate was already in there. She's very, very nice. She said, join this Facebook page. I got on. Everyone was like, oh yeah, we've got new people. Let's go, let's show them around town. So showed me around. They had all the units. So there's maybe 8 or 10 units with 2 to 4 people in each one. And they're all, you know, like next door to each other. So everyone's close. People are always organising things. Everyone's organising weekend trips. There's pub trivia every week, which over there is extremely competitive. So most of the med units in Broken Hill Hospital will make their own team. So it's usually the talk of the hospital for the next couple of days. And yeah, there's weekend stargazing trips. There's different tourist destinations to visit. Surprisingly good things to do there. Fear not, there is good food there. So I thought I'd be drinking like American style coffee for 4 weeks, but no, there is a nice cafe there on the main strip, popular with all the doctors. So it's called the Silly Goat. Highly recommend it. Run by 2 ex-Melburnians. And here's how you would organise it. So it's pretty simple. University of Sydney's Broken Hill Clinical School has a website. There's a form you fill in. It's first come, first served. To be honest, I applied before now to get a December placement, so I'm not sure how many spots will be left. But if you're an MD1 or even MD2, feel free to apply the next year. The more clinical experience you've got before you go, the better. So the more you'll be able to get involved. After that, this is with most elective rotations. They'll send you an enormous batch of documents they want, be like vaccination records. They'll want actual antibody titers and things like that. Police checks, all the usual stuff. And pretty promptly, they'll reply and say, yep, you got a spot. So, or no, we're full and you can go for another year. Yeah, small tips, bring lots of water. The water there you can't drink because there's lead toxicity. Sunscreen, and bring a lot of like anti-nausea tablets. These planes with those updrafts in the hot weather, they swing in this weird side-to-side motion that can... I'm someone who's gone on fishing boats all my life and I've never got sick, but on these I struggled on a few of them. So just be wary of that. Thanks.
Next up, we have Work the World, who organises elective opportunities for students. So please welcome Ollie.
Fantastic, guys. Beautiful. My name's Ollie. I come from an organisation called Work the World. We send students like yourself, medical professionals and allied health students on placements to developing countries. I'm here today to tell you all about what we do, logistics involved in locations where we send students every year. I do have quite a bit to smash through on this presentation. I've only got 5 minutes and then you'll be hearing from Nishita, who I've lost just over here. He's just returned from one of our placements in Ghana, so you won't just be hearing from me, but I'll get cracking. Okay, so we've been around for 10 years now, guys. In that time, we've sent over 8,000 students on placements to developing countries. Currently, we have 11 locations across 3 continents in Asia, Africa, and South America, and we're continually trying to grow our location base to provide students like yourself with more options. All right, I will be going into a bit more depth on each of these aspects, but in a nutshell, what do you get when you come in a placement with Work the World? Ultimately, it's a confirmed placement with confirmed supervision in a country of your choosing, in departments and areas of your choosing also. But what makes our service end-to-end is we assist you from the moment you call us to choose a location and the particular departments that you want to work in to getting you home safely. So in there we have pre-departure assistance, structured confirmed placement in country, with your accommodation, meals and language lessons all included, and then getting you home safely. In all of our locations, we have long-standing partnerships with all the hospitals and clinics that we work with, and they're also mutually beneficial, so they're sustainable relationships. So what that means is all the supervisors, people you're working with in the hospitals and clinics, they have a deep understanding and appreciation for what these placements are for students. They know why students are going there and the type of experience they're looking for. So in that regard, basically it just means great supervision and great guidance for the duration of your placement. It's not just beneficial for us and the students that go across. We also provide monetary and equipment donations to all the hospitals that we work with overseas. All right, the most exciting part of our locations, you can see them all here. As I said, we work in Asia, Africa and South America. Asia, we have the Philippines, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and a new location in Cambodia, which is absolutely fantastic in Phnom Penh there. Africa, we have Tanzania and Ghana, and then we have one location in Peru for all those people who want to go across and see Machu Picchu. I'm just going to play some photos from students that have gone on our placements. But how do we choose these locations? First and foremost, safety and security. We never want to send a student anywhere where we feel that their safety would be compromised. Obviously, there's risks anywhere you go, but these locations are quite safe. We've never had any issues with students heading there. Secondly, clinical flexibility. The range of different departments and areas that you can get on your placement is fantastic in all of these locations. And then, of course, as you can see from these pictures, plenty to do from a fun and adventure perspective. So if you want to be, I don't know, drinking a beer on a beach in the Philippines, or you want to go hike Mount Kilimanjaro, or you want to go check out the Himalayas in Nepal, there's placements to suit everyone. We also do not just city locations, we do more rural locations. So if you're looking to see more isolated cases, the late presenting patients, and interesting cases of perhaps like advanced HIV from isolated communities in Africa, there's plenty of options for that. I will just power through these pictures quickly. Awesome. So now just down to the most important part of your experience overseas, your clinical placements. So they are structured with supervision. You'll have a supervisor in any department that you work in. Across all of our locations, there's fantastic clinical scope. So no matter if you have a specialist area, something like gastroenterology, psychiatry, mental health, we have a range of locations that can cater to different specialties that you might have. You just have to have a chat to us and tell us what you're interested in, and we can have a look at some of the options for you. But typically, we have a location in each country that has a lot of specialties, a lot of areas that you can work in. For medical students like yourself, fantastic options if you want to see unique cases like tropical diseases in places like the Philippines and Sri Lanka. If you do have an interest in things like HIV, great placements in Ghana and in Tanzania for exposure to that. You just have to let us know, and we can have a look at what we have available to you. And as I said, city and rural-based locations for all our students. Did you do this? You did fantastic. In all of our locations, we have an option to do a village health experience. If you do a placement with Work the World, I highly recommend doing one of these. Students often call it the highlight of their experience. It's where you spend a week with a host family in an isolated rural environment, working in a rural health outpost. So wake up with your host family in the morning, go to the village health outpost, assist treating patients using traditional and modern methods. They're fantastic options. I mean, students really never have an experience like this again, spending a week at the foothills of the Himalayas, working an outpost there. In Ghana, Nish will be able to talk you through her experience there. In Tanzania, we have a fantastic opportunity with the Maasai tribe, and they sacrifice a goat in your honour at the end of that week. You don't have to watch, and they offer you the blood to drink. No one's drunk it yet. If you do, please let me know. So I can fill in students on that. But yeah, some really cool experiences. Fantastic one in Sri Lanka also. Where the clinic, they use a traditional Ayurvedic medicine. And there was a doctor there who decided to operate on an arm, and he actually used a piece of monkey bone to try and merge it with the patient's bone. It was absurd. It wasn't going to work. But that's the kind of stuff you see. Pre-departure, before you go, so we assist you in just choosing a location. Then from there, you'll gain access to MyTrip. You can see it up here. This is our placement planner and information platform. It's basically like your one-stop shop for all your pre-departure activities. So it basically just maps out everything you need to do before you go, including organising flights, travel insurance, medical indemnity insurance, visas, vaccinations, and any university documentation that you need to get filled out by us. You just upload it to MyTrip, it goes from there. You also have scheduled calls with our operations team, and they can talk you through everything you need to do and ease any anxieties before you go. But it's basically everything's on MyTrip. You don't need to think about anything. I know that often students can be very disorganised. This just takes the stress away out of organising your placement. So on the ground, we pick you up from the airport. We take you back to the Work the World house. You're staying with other students from other countries, other universities. It's just a hub for social activity, our accommodation. The moment you get there, you might just have a welcome meal with all the other students, and we'll do a local orientation with you, make sure you're comfortable in the environment, make sure you know where some of the bar and restaurant areas are, make sure you know how to get to and from the hospital each day. We'll also introduce you to your supervisor, just so you know who you're going to on that first day of placement. That's probably one of the worst things, rocking up at the hospital and them saying, "Who are you?" That wouldn't happen here. So a bit on our accommodation. I do have to set some expectations here. We don't have a pool in every house. This is in Takoradi. There's a pool there, but basically it's a cross between a hotel, student accommodation, and your own home. As I said, a hub for social activity, our accommodation. Really fantastic, like, because you're staying with other students of other disciplines, not just medical students, dentists, physiotherapists, OTs, nurses, midwives, and you sit down with each other at the end of each day having dinner. It's a really cool experience to actually see, and you often never have an experience like that again. So one of our in-country teams, all of our teams in all of our locations are all locally employed, so they have a good understanding of the environment, the cultural nuances of that particular region. They cover your program managers, your assistant program managers, your chefs, your caterers, your housekeepers and your security guards. They're there for 24/7 support, so you've got any issues, you're anxious about anything, you just run it by your assistant program managers. They're often doing rounds around the hospital just to check up on students to make sure that everything's okay and everything's going smoothly for you for the duration of your placement. And now to our locations quickly. So Ghana, we've been here the longest, 10 years now. Absolutely fantastic options there. It's our longest running location, so the flexibility, the fluidity of placements there is awesome. Wide-ranging wide-ranging departments that you can get experience in. For those interested in HIV, infectious diseases, definitely consider Ghana. It's kind of like, Nish will be talking a lot more about this, but if you want to experience old Africa, it's a melting pot of African culture. It's absolutely fantastic. Tanzania, our other African location, maybe one of the first things is safari when you think about Tanzania, Mount Kilimanjaro. Great things to do outside of your placement in this country. But one of the hospitals we work with here is actually one of the largest, we work with anywhere in the world. It has 1,600 beds and sees a massive 1,800 outpatients a day on some occasions. So the sheer volume of patients that you see is absolutely awesome. If you do have a really specialist area that you want to get experience in, Tanzania and Dar es Salaam in particular is worth considering. Dar es Salaam's one of the main cities there in Tanzania, but we also offer Arusha, which is a more rural location, which is fantastic and very hard-hitting, eye-opening placements. So you have to brace yourself if you are going anywhere in Africa. You will be confronted by some pretty extreme things. Nepal, land of snow sherpas, peaks, and the Himalayas. Anyone going here loves hiking and a bit of cold weather. Fantastic options there in Kathmandu, and another location in Pokhara, which is the second largest city in Nepal. Our partnership with one of the hospitals in Kathmandu has the most specialties anywhere in Nepal. Great for emergency placements as well. In Kathmandu, anyone considering that? Emergencies offered anywhere at all of our locations, but they are particularly good in Kathmandu. In Pokhara, a fantastic neonatal intensive care unit, which is awesome. Sri Lanka, we've been here for 4 years now. We have 2 locations in Kandy and Neurology, two of the largest hospitals we work with. So again, massive volume of patients you see per day. Interested in tropical diseases, definitely consider Kandy. It is Kandy and Neurology. It is closer to Australia than your African locations. Not many Australian students are considering Sri Lanka at the moment, but it's a fantastic location. I mean, it's got beaches, mountains, adrenaline sports. There's so much to do, and plenty of elephants as well. Also have the Philippines. I love the Philippines. I lived there for 2.5 years. Fantastic country. Lovely people, beautiful scenery, beautiful beaches. We just opened a new location here in Batangas, which has wide-ranging scope for students like yourself. We also have a location in Iloilo, both smaller city options, but we work with a number of teaching hospitals there, so you'll actually have the opportunity to work alongside other students on your placement. And Peru, our only South American location, so those of you who want to experience the Inca Trail, Machu Picchu, the Nazca Lines, Amazon rainforest, you'll be going here. We work with a massive hospital there in Arequipa, which is a town surrounded by 3 snow-capped volcanoes. It's absolutely fantastic. Massive oncology unit, so people interested in cancers, definitely consider Peru, and respiratory diseases is also big in Peru. Last but not least, Cambodia. We only opened this one recently. Yeah, fantastic location. A lot of Australians, obviously a lot of Australians travel to Cambodia for the party aspect of things and just seeing the temples of Angkor Wat and just exploring the whole country. But we've recently built some great partnerships with some hospitals and clinics there, and we started sending students there. Cambodia is a great country. Phnom Penh is a great city, straight in the Mekong River, so definitely consider it if you're looking to go across to Asia. People wonder how can they pay for their placement overseas. All of our prices are available on our website. They depend on the location and the amount of weeks that you're going for. There are a number of bursary and grant options that you can have a look at, of ways to fund your experience overseas, and these are available on our website also. Ready for the next step. I will be around while you're eating pizza out here, so come and have a chat to me. We can talk about your situation and I can give you a bit more information. Visit our website or give us a call and we can go from there. But I'll introduce Nish now, and thanks for listening, and hopefully have a chat to you afterwards.
Alright, hey guys, I'm Nishi, I'm an MD4 this year, and in December I went to Takoradi in Ghana. So just a few words, Ollie sort of covered quite a lot, but just about Work the World itself, they were so organised about everything. I'm a very disorganised person, so they sort of had it all covered in terms of like flights and what you have to do at what time. So yeah, they gave me a lot of phone calls and kept me up to date, so that was really good from that side of things. So I'll just talk about the placement. So in Takoradi, there's a lot of options. So you can do like go on the medical ward, do emergency, surgical, pediatrics, obstetrics, NICU, and there's a village placement available as well. So I did these 3. I did the med ward, emergency, and the village. So I'll just talk quickly about those. So I was on the med ward for 1 week. It started off with doing ward rounds, and it split up into female and male medical wards. So you do ward rounds in the morning, and then after that everyone would go to outpatients with the doctors. So there's also clinics, the outpatient clinics, and in those like you could do your own patient interviews. So there was a lot of clerking, and that actually also included like requesting bloods and suggesting medications and things like that. So it was quite a lot of independent work, which was really pretty exciting. So I've just put this up here to talk about some of the cases. There was in the medical ward a lot of TB patients, so you get to see sort of a lot of end-stage TB and things like that. There's a lot of unconscious patients in the med ward as well. A lot of people who had been transferred from emergency, so it got you really thinking about your sort of management of the unconscious patient. And also some sort of tropical sort of diseases. So like a couple of times I saw elephantitis as one of the differential diagnoses, which was really interesting and something that you wouldn't really see here. The really great thing about medical ward was there was a lot of teaching, and the doctors there are really great at teaching, and there are heaps of other junior doctors as well. So you get a chance to sort of bounce off your knowledge with other doctors as well. So I was on the emergency ward for 2 weeks. So it was a similar sort of structure. You do ward rounds in the morning. It was very, very self-directed. So you got a chance to do sort of triage, a lot of physical examinations, and hone up your practical skills as well. So doing cannulations and taking bloods. Some of the cases that I saw on in emergency were like a lot of sort of end-stage HIV and complications of HIV. There was a lot of diabetic emergencies, a lot of trauma, a couple of people with sickle cell anemia, and yeah, sort of a couple of pediatric patients as well. So Ollie was talking a bit about the village experience. I went to this place called Aquadar, and if you can see, it's a very small village. The placement itself, it was a nurse-run health clinic, so it was only about 2 rooms. It was very small, and most of the patients we saw there had malaria. While we were there, we assisted with vaccinations in the centre of the village and did some vitamin A supplementations in schools. We did a couple of home visits in the village itself, which was really interesting too. And so you got a chance to do a lot of blood pressure measurement. We did some health education for the village as well, which I'll tell you a bit more about, and stayed with a host family. And in your free time, you get quite a lot of it. You get to do a lot of exploring in and around the village. So went on a couple of canoe rides, saw some ruins of castles and lots of beaches. So in the village, this is from doing some vitamin A supplementation. This was vaccinations in the village. So this is our health education session. So all we were told about this was that we were going to have a slot on the local radio to do some basic healthcare. And we got there and realised by radio they actually meant a set of speakers that blast out your voice across the village. So that was a bit of a surprise, but interesting experience. And I was there with a physio and another medical student, and the physio had, for her health education, was going to run a physio class on the beach, but we got to the beach that day and it started raining, so we did some stretch in torrential rain, which was quite an experience. And the placement, like the nurse-run health clinic that we were at, was right next to a primary school, so we spent ages like with these kids, and it was just a lot of fun. Interacting with them and playing with them. And I just thought I'd put this up because this, wherever it's gone. This is my phone. So my phone was stolen, and when I got it back at the end of the day, there was 200 photos on there of just random kids that I didn't know. In terms of travel, this was just a secluded beach that we got to spend some time on. It's a really beautiful country. We had to trek through basically jungle to get here. And then this is one of the canoe rides in the village. Travel outside of your placement hours is really, really easy. You can do it most weekends. This here is called a trotro, and that's sort of the local method of transport. They're basically just minivans that run around the country, and you just hop on and hop off. And I still don't actually know if there's any system to it, but you know, it worked. The staff as well are really happy to help you organise your travel, which is great. These are just some other pictures, couple of beaches. This is a village that's entirely built on water. This is a walk along the canopies of the rainforests. And this is one of the castles along the coast. So I'll just finish up talking about the house. So this is the house in Takoradi. You have heaps of other students there. There's students from all sorts of disciplines, so you get to talk to a lot of people. There's room for up to 30 people. There was only about 7 students while I was there, including myself, because I was there sort of over Christmas, but there can be up to 30. Breakfast, lunch and dinner are provided on all weekdays, and then you have other food like in the fridge for weekends. So it was just a luxury being there because I don't get that at home either. So the staff were incredibly friendly. Every Thursday we had a barbecue dance night, which is exactly what it sounds like. We all just had a barbecue and then danced. Ghanaians love dancing, so that was a lot of fun. And Fanti lessons, so the language that's spoken in the hospital sometimes is Fanti, but honestly, like, there were a lot of English speaking doctors there as well, so it was really easy to get by. We do have a pool and Wi-Fi as well, which I felt was important. And that's about it. Thanks.
Sorry, we're running a bit over time, so just bear with us, and welcome Georgie.
All right, sorry guys, I know you're ready for your pizza, so I'll make this pretty quick. My name's Georgie and I'm an MD3, and I spent a month at the Institute for Indian Mother and Child at the end of last year. So IMC, it's not a hospital, it's a development project, and it's entirely run by volunteers, and their aim is to sort of provide healthcare, education and economic empowerment, especially in the rural villages. So as an elective student, you get to experience all of the different programs that IMC runs. So you'll be helping out in their medical clinics. It's pretty basic stuff. It's just taking blood pressures, giving injections, dressing wounds, that kind of thing. They do also have all of the primary healthcare services like dentistry, optometry. So you get to see a bit of that in a developing country, which is cool. We were visiting local schools. We ran educational workshops for the local healthcare workers. They also have a microcredit program which offers loans to women in the villages so that they can start up a business and generate a form of income for themselves. There's women's networking groups. You can help make nutrition packs for malnourished children, play with the kids at the orphanage. And then finally, IMC actually gives you a lot of freedom to create your own project while you're over there if you're interested. So for example, in my month, myself and 2 of the other Australians, we started making soap to sell at one of the medical clinics as a way to kind of promote hand hygiene. So similar to a lot of the other electives that you've heard tonight, there's a really great social and cultural program. You live in a house in Kolkata with about 20 other volunteers from all around the world, and IMC organises lots of sort of events for you, like the social dinner. We had Bengali lessons. We had some cooking classes with some assistance from one of the locals, and also a soccer match against one of the local footy teams. So in terms of expense, India is a very affordable country. I had about 10 days of personal travel, and including flights, I reckon it cost me $2,500 all up. I was spending less than $5 a day in Kolkata on food and transport. The actual application process is through Melbourne Uni. It's not through the institute. There's an online form and an interview, and all the information about the app will be available on the Common Room and also in the resources for tonight. You apply for either December or January, and applications are open until the end of April next month. And also, if you've got any questions, come and find me outside in the break. I can't stay for the panel, unfortunately, but I'm happy to answer anything. You can send me an email. So just to wrap up, if you're someone that's interested in global health, if you're looking for an elective, it's about more than just the clinical learning. It'll teach you more than that. And you're someone that you're prepared to embrace the challenges that travelling in India brings. The answers to those are yes. Consider going to IMC. All right, this is going to be the quickest presentation you have ever seen in your life. I promise. Can I get a show of hands for first years? Just so I'm giving relevant info. Okay, second years? Is there anyone that's third? Okay, it's going to be quick. Okay, for anyone who doesn't know who we are, which is probably first years, the one that you want to really pay attention to there is the bottom one, which is basically by the time you guys graduate, myself and my team in Victoria and Tasmania represent over half of you as your primary bank, and there's very good reasons for that. A few of them are listed there, so we're actively against investing in fossil fuels, which is a big thing for us, as we know it's a big thing for you guys. We're a preferred provider by a lot of the major associations that you guys work with. And of course, because we're a private bank that only works with doctors and we've been doing this for over 25 years, we know how to tailor things very well to help you with salary packaging when you start your internship, giving you money to do your electives, or in what's coming very soon, even if you want to go overseas and do some volunteer work overseas that isn't an elective. Yeah. I can smell the pizza. Okay, so for those of you that are in your first or second year, this is a kind of a really easy breakdown of what we do. Basically, really simply, if you don't have your primary bank account with us, it's not the best in the market. That's a really easy way to describe it. If it's with a major, I definitely look into what you're getting. Basically, major banks don't need to give you anything because you've been with them since you were 3 years old. If I asked who was a CBA client here because they were with Dolomites initially, you'd be a bit shocked with how many people put their hands up. So I just say definitely look into that because there's better options out there. We can help you with it. We're out there. Come talk to us. The other one that we've got up there is a bank account that's the first of its kind in Australia, where we actually pay you guys velocity points instead of interest on your money. Works really well in regards to that you don't have to pay tax on points where you do on interest. It also works really well when it's paired with our credit card, which is for those third years up there. Things to consider. So electives, working overseas. If any of you are in your fourth year, setting up your salary packaging ASAP, because due to the fringe benefits tax year, you kind of want it working now. We can talk you through all of that, and even just a holiday. So this is kind of for third years. I'm going to click straight through it because it's kind of not relevant for most of you. But if you need to kind of start getting things set up to help with funding electives and that kind of thing overseas, and for second years, once you get to the end of your second year, this will work as well. And we've got the facilities that we can work through and set up that mean that you don't actually have to start paying them back until you're in July of the year you start working. One of the other major advantages, which a lot of other options like this don't have in the market, is that you can actually draw the money back out and then pay it back and draw it out and pay it back, which means you're not paying interest on a full loan amount over however long it is. You can pay it off as you go. That is it. There you go. $100, yeah? You do $100 as a gift roll. Make sure you put your slip in the box out there.
Okay. Guys, so Ron needs to leave as well, so he's just going to quickly do his presentation.
I'll be fast. Sorry, guys. I know you want pizza. All right, I'll zoom through this. All right. So yeah, my name's Ron Danziger. I'm a third year student at RMH. Basically, I went to Mount Sinai Beth Israel in New York, which is a hospital located in the middle of Manhattan in the East Village, a really amazing location. That's it over there. I went from mid-December to mid-January last year, which is very cold, but quite a beautiful and nice time of year to go. Here's me outside the hospital. As you can see, yeah, it's pretty cold. So basically how to apply, that's just the website up there. It's a pretty easy application process. You apply up to 7 to 8 months in advance. So you kind of have to just kind of go through everything on the website. Costs, guys, it's America. It's pretty expensive, okay? So the application itself is $1,000. No, that is not a typo. That's the application cost. But you get to put in 5 preferences. So there's a pretty good chance that you'll get something as long as you don't put like neurosurgery for every preference. Tuition as well, $2,000. Again, it's America. Nothing's going to be free. Accommodation, middle of New York. It's expensive. Yeah, I worked a long time for this, guys. Flights, book early because everything else is expensive. And then you got to think about everything else, food shows, museums, you name it. So basically what I did a combination of a few different things: general surgery, plastics, surgical oncology, and colorectal surgery. So that was really amazing. That's a picture of me there. I went with another medical student, Christina, who's also here tonight. That's me in the classic kind of American white coat. So that was pretty cool to wear that. And that's our commute to the hospital in the morning. So it's pretty magical place to be. So this is our supervisor, Dr. Goodman. He looks like he's about to drop like a fire mixtape in that photo. So it's pretty funny. And that's him as well, just at one of his conferences. So here's a few things I got to do, which I get to do here, but I got to do more of in America. So scrub in. The expectation is that you scrub into every single surgery and you get involved in every surgery. Surgical assist, laparoscopy, everything. So I got to go to clinics. I got to stay in my own clinic, see patients by myself. Ward rounds, you present every single ward round. You do a bunch of procedures in clinic and tutorials from Dr. Goodman, which is amazing. And he gave some amazing tutorials. Here's a bit on New York life. So this is a view from the Empire State Building. So obviously New York is amazing. Out and about, here's Central Park. You got Times Square. You got Trump Tower. So it's all pretty topical and relevant. Some amazing things, the food, massive steak, bagels. You got sushi, everything. The culture, so that I went to the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. I went to the Comedy Cellar. I saw Aziz Ansari. This is from the Museum of Natural History. I got to go to Broadway. I got to go to the MoMA Museum. I got to go to the Met, everything, you name it. They have it in New York. So reasons to go, amazing team, really hospitable. Everyone is really fantastic. You hear some like bad things about American hospitals, but they're actually really nice, really amazing. You get to actually do stuff in surgery, which you don't always get to do here. And it's an expectation of you. New York is the greatest city in the world, so that basically I don't need to sell it any more than that. Australian students are better. Like we're really good at presenting. We have like a really good level of clinical skills compared to some of the American students and some of the other students. And they really like us. They like our accents. They think we're hilarious. And my last point is make America great again. So cheers.
All right. This is going to be 1 minute. Oh, man. Okay. All right, we're going to aim for 1.5 minutes and then 30 seconds from student conference.
Okay. My name's Monica. I'm a Master of Public Health student. You can talk to me or Misha or Steph afterwards because it's going to be a really short presentation. Basically, what we do at Material Aid Program is that we go around to different hospitals and clinics in the Greater Melbourne area and we collect donations of surplus medical equipment and consumables that we can redistribute through you guys to under-resourced communities overseas. And our two main objectives in doing that are to minimize material wastage here in Melbourne and also minimize the resource drain that you guys can sometimes pose on the places that you go. These are some of the things that we send over: gloves, syringes, C-spine collars. And last year, we were able to raise more than $1,200, sent over 400, not 300, kilograms worth of equipment over to 9 different countries, including Kenya, Uganda, Malawi, Timor-Leste, Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Philippines, Vietnam, and Nepal. Although we believe that access to basic medical equipment and facilities is a fundamental and universal human right, we're well aware of the implications of in-kind donations, and we always take measures to ensure that we don't inadvertently contribute to those really shitty things. So we work in close collaboration with our recipient partners through you guys. So we're always on the lookout for new recruits, which is potentially you, if you're headed to an under-resourced healthcare facility or you have already been to an under-resourced healthcare facility and you think that they would benefit from medical equipment like this. We can help you fundraise and also organize it. Find us online. You can go on your phones now and like us because I'm pretty sure there is a Captain Planet Appreciation Society that has more likes than our page. That's it. You can find us after. Cool. Thanks. Bye.
It's for the conference that's coming up in June. We want some feedback. We're going to do a session that has to do with electives and volunteering for electives. So if you please fill it out and then hand it out before you leave. There's not going to be anything on Facebook pages. Thank you so much for that. It's free, so like, no, I know, but like, yeah. Thank you so much. Sorry. No. I understand. Like 720. Yeah, if there's anything that you ever need help with, you can ask. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. That's okay. Jackson Flat. It's Jackson Mix.
Yeah, it's fine. We just cut it.
Yeah.
Christina. Actually, I'll just delete them from the one you've got. How do I change the screen? I'll turn it off. Oh, actually, it doesn't matter. Hey, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Is this something working? Sorry. I'm just going to this just in case. Oh, did you delete it? I was just going to delete them from here.
Yeah, actually. Okay. Did you ready?
Actually, I'll just get it on mine.
Maybe you guys want the filled in sheets to go. A survey. Yeah. Yes. I said fill them in. Where do you want them to go? I can fill it in. That's cool. I can do that bit.
You're going to be in the Melbourne to the outside.
No. No. I was going to, but didn't get leave because of other things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
How's your French now?
So I actually learned some scrappy French, but yeah, no, language hasn't been my strong suit. So I was good enough to do like basics.
Yeah.
Like ordering food.
Yeah.
How to get from place. When you're done, just screen check all the slides.
Oh my god, she's logged out.
What?
No. Compliance.
This is the old one?
No, these are new.
Is new?
Yeah.
Should I get rid of this one?
Who's that? Yeah. So much. What piece of I don't know.
Quick, go.
No. Honestly, no.
Take it.
When are you talking? Are you already spoken? What time? I've got food at mine.
Oh.
Yeah. Come back now.
Oh. No.
Not like I've stolen pizzas and I've actually food away.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to bring you over or something?
No, 2 minutes more. No.
What's the road now?
Really? No. This road.
Yeah.
Is it like literally next to,
Like, you know, Big High?
yeah,
Behind RMH?
Yeah.
We're one of the streets, like, RMH and Big High.
That's so convenient.
It's perfect for the kids.
Yeah.
Because research.
Oh,
That isn't for my children.
Your children.
My children will not grow up in 4-person share house.
I don't know. Leave them here. Thank you. Nick, can you sign stuff?
Sign.
Keep the pizza away from it.
This sponsorship. Oh my god, you're so organized.
So Dan went and
So organized, Christina. You are so organized. You just, yeah, with the pizza here. Thanks for getting me on my new phone.
I'm sorry. Just don't sign your one. Just got Jess's name on it.
This is so professional. Wow. Did you organize it or did Jess?
No, I do.
Can you see that?
It's like on this folder.
Oh, this is the template.
Wait, it was the 2014 CV thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll send you because I fixed it up.
You talking first?
No. Yeah.
My friend is he's now a surgeon, and I met him when I was in undergrad in Sweden. And he'd just been there, and it might have been the same hospital. He said there was like heaps of gunshot wounds and stabbing.
There's heaps of gunshot wounds and stabbing.
Because he said he did it. He said he was, yeah, I think so. He said he did like, he was doing surgery, surgery.
After the break, we'll be Jackson for 2 minutes, and then.
Oh, and like after
And then.
Because, yeah, can you say something about human surgery?
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, where is it?
This way. Okay. Guys, we might just get started again. Okay. Oh, that is not touchscreen. Okay. Okay. Yeah. In a second. You ready to speak? Okay. Cool. Right. So, sorry about the delay. So now we have Jackson, who's going to be talking about Alfred. After that is Nick, who will talk about South Africa. DPM is going to be talking. And Samudu will be talking about WHO, which is not an elective, but a really good experience. And then we'll just have a really short panel, and then hopefully you guys will leave semi on time. Cool. So welcome, Jackson.
Hi guys, so I didn't prepare a fancy PowerPoint slide because I just went to Alfred, which is just across the river. So why did I pick the Alfred? I guess one of the problems with Melbourne University is that we don't really get to experience other hospitals and what they are like. And I thought, well, I'm thinking about internship applications soon because I was an ND3 at the time. It's like, oh, I want to experience, I'm a St. Vincent student, so I didn't get to see this, didn't get to see that. But why not go to the Alfred to see what Monash is like, how they run their hospitals. And I guess the Alfred really appealed to me because it's a major trauma centre and it's a major burns unit in the state. And as a St. Vincent student, don't see trauma, don't see burns. Even as an Austin student, you probably don't see burns either, or any other hospital. So I wanted to do an elective with the mindset of, like, what are the other hospitals like as well. So I guess I did my elective, a 4-week elective in the anaesthetic department. And why did I pick anaesthetics? Well, there's not much teaching in medical school. I'm not sure about other hospitals. I only got 1 week, but I really loved it and really wanted to explore it. So I picked the Alfred because it's one of the major anaesthetic training hospitals. The Alfred was such an amazing experience. I did so much, got to do so much. I participated in ward rounds, was in pain ward rounds, in theatre a lot, every single day, Monday to Friday. And you see the Alfred specialties. You get to see burns, trauma, backs, ophthalmology, and even dentistry, which is a bit weird. And I got to do quite a lot. So obviously, cannulations, even up to, they allow me to do 16 gauge cannulations, really thick. And unfortunately, I just pin cushioned the patient. I stuck in like 4 and blew 3 veins. And the anaesthetist was like, actually just step away. I'll do it now. And I got to do a lot of intubations. So I did up to 22 and was successful in about 18 of those, which is quite a lot compared to a lot of the residents who've only done like 5 throughout up to that point. So I was doing a lot more than even residents. I was the only student there, and what was great about Alfred, it was one-on-one teaching because you're in theatre with the anaesthetist, and they can teach you about anything: physiology, pharmacology, anatomy. It's probably the best elective I've done. I've done several before this, but I really enjoyed my time with the Alfred. So my tips with the Alfred: apply early. So for MD3s, it's best to apply now. And on that note, it's I can talk about the cons of the Alfred. Dealing with administration. If you thought Melbourne University admin was terrible, wait until you deal with Monash admin. And just getting to the Alfred was a bit difficult. A lot of traffic in the morning. Apart from that, I just covered the cost. It was about $650 for 4 weeks. Really enjoyed the Alfred. If you're thinking about working in the Alfred or at another hospital, give it a go. Just apply for another hospital within Victoria. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Started my timer, so I'll stick to time. So I went to Chris Honey Baragwanath Hospital, which is in Johannesburg. It's the world's busiest trauma centre. This is to give you, it's also the world's third biggest hospital. This is to give you some perspective. These are on scale. So it's as wide as Royal Children's to Swanston Street, and it's larger than all of Melbourne Uni north of Grattan Street up to College Crescent. Royal Melbourne Hospital is just like this tiny little bit here. So yes, it's quite big. The volume of trauma that they see is the most in the world. The German military and UK military send their surgeons there for 3 months each year. This is the entrance to the hospital. As a bit of background to what you would expect to see, there's 350 patients on average a day. Weekends it's busier. There's 30 to 100 of those are penetrating trauma, so gunshots or stab wounds. Trauma unit essentially triages and then stabilizes and then sends either to the trauma wards, ICU, or off to orthopedics or burns, or home for outpatient review. I'm not sure what happened to one of my slides, but essentially the structure of it, there's a surgical pit, which is this, or this is a very small part of it. It's always packed with patients. This is where you do your triaging and initial stabilization and management and investigation plans, unless they're critical patients, and then they'll end up in resus. This is also the trauma pit. That's on a good day. Often there'll be patients just lying all over the floor, and it's just insanely busy. This resus has 16 beds. Often there'll be 80 patients in there on a weekend, and nurses will be there bagging patients, ventilating them. So it's insanely busy. They don't have enough medical staff or nursing staff to treat the patient load that they have, so they rely on international doctors, particularly the German and UK military. The staff at the hospital are excellent. From a medical perspective, you're going to have a consultant, a senior registrar, 2 junior registrars, and 2 interns for all of the trauma pit and resus, and then you'd have 5 to 7 medical students on a shift. So the medical students actually make up the bulk of the medical workforce, and we predominantly do most of the assessment, management, investigation plans, procedures, and the senior doctors just rotate through the students supervising us. So you're given the ability to do whatever is within your ability. The first shifts that I had there, I was one-on-one with the senior registrar. The shifts are 30 hours, so the first 4, that's 120 hours of teaching. So by the end of that, you're pretty good with sort of the whole protocol of trauma. And then they sort of just, you flag any concerns that you have with them, and they'll come and assist you. This is to give an idea about some of the difficulties that you face. So this is an isolation room for a TB patient. This is a patient who was in heart failure and needed to be up a little bit. And this was a guy who ended up having a C-spine fracture. And just the patients find it difficult to follow instructions for various reasons. That's the structure of the medical staff. Very occasionally, you might get some time to have a nap on your shift, but the doctors are all super friendly and you really bond as a group. The typical shift, it's 6:30 to 8:30 is handover. 8:30 to 12:30, you're going to do your ward work. Then 12:30 to 6:30 a.m. you're in pit and resus, and then 6:30 a.m. to 12:30 you're doing wards work again. And you're on call 24/7. So if you are wanting to do travel, you won't be able to do travel in the time that you're there. Medical student responsibilities, you're still responsible for coffee. They got this new little cafe, and so I taught the barista how to make proper coffee. Germans don't actually know how to spell latte, so German coffee is not better than Australian coffee. The accommodation, oh sorry, I'm over time, 45 seconds. The accommodation is great. This is where I was staying. You stay with about 5 to 6 other students. This was the international student community there. There were 3 houses of us, and we all just were on the same shifts. At the end, we got to go away for a little bit and go on a safari and see some tigers. So how to apply? It's through the University of Witwatersrand, which is the University for Chris Honey Baragwanath Hospital. You will only be able to go between MD3 and 4. You need to apply at least 12 months in advance. All up flights, accommodation, elective, travel, healthcare worker registration. It was about $4,500. Feel free to ask me questions at any point.
Thanks, Nick. Do you need to? Are we okay to let DPM go? Is that okay? Cool. Okay. Sorry. No, there you
Hi everybody, my name's Elise and Anthony and myself are here from DPM tonight. I know that we've spoken to a few of you at the start and the break, but for those of you who don't know who we are a financial services firm that specialises in offering advice to medical professionals. And DPM's always looked after doctors, which has given us a really good understanding of the medical pathway and the milestones that you'll go through along the way in becoming a consultant in the specialty of your choice. So at DPM, we have a range of financial services that we look after. We have our 4 core services of tax and accounting, finance, private wealth and personal insurances, and our specialty services of self-managed super, property advocacy and legal. The way that our business is set up is that we have dedicated consultants in all of our areas. So Anthony and myself work in tax and accounting, and we've structured our business in this way so that no matter what our clients are going through, they've got the confidence to contact their dedicated advisor and work through any issues they may have. So what we have available to you as students is our DPM student membership. Our student membership is free and it gives you essentially access to a dedicated financial advisor for any financial advice that you may need throughout your years of study. It also includes free tax returns. It also includes invitations to exclusive events that we hold throughout the year. And it also includes access to our elective grant. So each year we offer one Melbourne University student an elective grant whereby we award $1,000 and a camera. As you can see from the photo behind me, we have Eliza, who I think is still in the room, who went to India last year with Georgia. And so all you need to do to apply for this is jump on our website, dpm.com.au, and tell us in 150 words or less where you're going, why you're going there, and what you hope to achieve out of it. Applications will be open now and will close on the 31st of October. For those students that are looking to go a bit later for their elective and are unable to obtain the elective grant, we do have a student loan available, which is available to penultimate and final year students, where it's a loan of up to $10,000 that doesn't need to be repaid until September of your intern year. So that's all I have tonight. So if you want to sign up for the student membership or the elective grant, you can jump on our website at dpm.com.au. Thank you.
Okay. Now we have Jordana, who's going to speak about her elective experience at Oxford.
Hi guys, so my name's Geordie. I'm just going to talk about my time at the University of Oxford. So it's a very different elective to some of the ones you've heard about tonight. But I spent 4 weeks at the JR Hospital, John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, through the University of Oxford Medical School. The brand new building there, the West Wing, and I was in the clinical sciences department there. The clinical neurosciences. The clinical neurosciences is one of the major tertiary centres for the entire of the UK. So you see really specialist things and really high-end, advances in medicine as well. So my time there was split between clinical work, and I also could shadow the medical students that were there. I was treated just like any other Oxford medical student, which gave me great opportunities throughout the entire medical school and also Oxford University itself. In terms of the clinical work, I mainly attended things like outpatient clinics where I got to see
amazing, really specialist areas. So one of the highlights for me was seeing motor neuron disease clinic, where we spent up to an hour with each patient talking about every aspect of their life, from their disease to the psychiatric implications and everything like that. We also saw inpatient work that I had, similar to here, would be clinical rounds. We had neurology grand rounds. There was opportunities to speak at student grand rounds. So I gave a lecture on management of first seizure as well. I would definitely recommend taking the opportunity to present in front of the fellow students that are there, because they're really, really incredible students, and they'll push you hard. They'll make you work really hard, as will all of the consultants. They respect you in the clinical environment, and they expect a lot from you. But it's a great learning opportunity if you get the chance to do it. There's also similar things like small group tutorials. They had Neurosciences Simulation Centre and a specialist neurosciences in ICU that I was lucky enough to shadow for a few days in there as well. More importantly, they had a great Oxford experience as well. This is me at one of the formal dinners. As you can see, it's very Harry Potter-esque. It was a beautiful place to live, and it was an incredible place to experience. I had full access to everywhere in Oxford University, including the Bodleian Library collections. I had access to the student societies, went to the parties, all of the colleges as well. As well, they had incredible international elective students sort of community. So we all met up, 2 to 3 times a week. We would do weekend trips together. They're a great bunch of people, and it's a great way to meet people from all across the world. Oxford is also very central, so it's only an hour from London, and you can also travel all across Europe. I mainly travelled throughout the UK, but you can see some pictures there from Bath, Dublin, the Highlands of Scotland, which I would highly recommend. There's some whiskey tasting up the top there, and throughout the entire UK. So in terms of application, the best advice I can give is apply early. So I applied in my MD2 year for a placement between MD3 and MD4. So you usually have to apply about 18 months in advance. So if you're thinking of doing it, just put the application in. From memory, the only cost was to post the documents overseas. That was the only thing that it cost. The application was an application form. You do have to put in your academic transcript, but I am told by many students who applied that their academic transcript wasn't incredible. It's more about who you are as a person and what you do as well. So you need to have a CV and run a letter of application that you need to really tailor to who you are. They're looking for individual people. Oxford is known for different thinkers, out of the box, and that's who they want. So that's the recommendations I can give for you guys. All the information is available on the online website. So if you're looking to do it, and so if you're thinking about doing it, apply early, because you need to give yourself about 18 months. The program was free to attend. The visa, though, cost about 550 Australian dollars, and then you do need to pay for your accommodation. So they did have some subsidised housing that was closer to the hospital. The hospital itself is about 45 minutes to an hour walk outside of Oxford town, or a 20-minute bus ride. I chose to stay in Oxford town, and I would recommend that as well. So I stayed in an Airbnb. Because it was private accommodation, it was a bit more expensive, but you could always try for shared accommodation, or some of the colleges have limited places depending on availability. And then obviously living and travel expenses is similar to Melbourne. That's pretty much it. And that's my great group of elective students that I got to meet over there. Cool, thanks.
We have our final speaker now, who is Samudu, and he will be talking about his WHO internship through his film slides. Did you put it?
Wait, you had it on.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure it works.
It works, all the slides?
Yeah, all the slides work.
Perfect. Easy.
Is just
No worries. Awesome. Hello. Cool. So I'm here to talk about something that's not strictly speaking an elective yet. So it's a working process, could potentially be part of an elective soon. So this is a non-clinical elective experience at the WHO. So before we begin, okay. So I want to first of all start with what is a WHO internship. So a lot of people would have heard about the WHO mainly through their communicable disease efforts, so such as smallpox or their recent polio efforts. But the WHO is the public health arm of the UN. So they work in a variety of areas from, so recently they were doing policy work for the sugar taxes in Mexico, or they might go down to emergency locations as well. And yeah, so an internship is a chance to work with the teams behind this effort. So you're working together with them, working on projects, reports, working on fact sheets that get released. So I partook in that, etc. So yeah, so this is basically what I did. It's huge. So the text is huge. So basically I worked at the Global Coordination of Assistive Technology. What that means is assistive technology is any technology that helps enable a person become more able-bodied. So basics are things like wheelchairs. More complex or more advanced things are like exoskeletons. So as you can see though, all those levels show that bureaucracy at work. So I guess I'm going to touch on some of the cons later, but as with any huge organization, there is some bureaucracy involved as well. And yeah, where can you intern? So I interned at the HQ in Geneva. I've marked out a few of the other locations. I can talk to you after the talk or in another time about the regional offices. So with the headquarters, you're working on more systematic, more big think, big picture sort of work. Whereas in the regional offices, you're working on a few implementations. I've highlighted in blue. There's also some sub-regional offices, like such as in Sri Lanka, who was working on eradicating malaria last year, which they did as well. So there's a variety of places you can apply for. The hardest to get into is the HQ, but everything else becomes a little bit easier. Yeah, why do an internship at WHO? So I guess it's individual for everyone. For me, I've always been involved with global health since a young age because my dad was involved in some NGOs. So I've always had an interest. I got into medicine and also started getting interested in health technology side of things, as well as why things worked, health economics, business, why medicines are priced in certain ways, etc. So all that combined together with WHO, I was particularly interested with their assistive technology program. That's sort of why I applied. So I recommend if you're interested in this sort of stuff, have a vision in mind when applying because it's highly competitive, and if you're doing it just for the sake of doing it, there's no real point. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is talk about a day in the life. It's really varied, but the basic gist is you come into the office. It is non-clinical, remember, so you're working on depends, so policies, reports, etc. You could be meeting with top figures around the world, people who are experts in their health space, it could be neuro, etc., whatever you're working on, it could be non-clinical diseases. And then, you also have a lot of random events happening throughout the year. So this year is the executive board meeting where they were choosing 3 out of 6 candidates for the next director general, which is really interesting. There's a lot of hype, a lot of security, so a lot of things are happening. Wow, this is really blurred out. So it wasn't blurred out it was not blurred out in my Google slides, so I don't know what happened there. But the people are amazing. People are there from all over the world, and they're not pixelated in real life. So, they're all around the world. Everyone's got this different story, why they're there. People from I met this amazing guy in Egypt who was trying to change, how healthcare is implemented over there. There's people from amazing places around the world. You get to meet them, you get to be inspired, and you get to bounce off each other as well. I was also part of this thing called the Intern Board, where I helped organize academic speakers from experts around the world to speak to interns as well, which is cool. Again, pixelated. This is Kofi Annan. So there's some really cool random events happening. It's an international city. People are just coming. I think a few weeks ago, I wasn't there, but Angelina Jolie came and spoke at the UN. So really cool things happen. And yes, time for travel, yes, heaps. So on the weekends, at least, you can travel around Switzerland, which I did, as well as to the neighboring countries as well. Here I'm on a sledge in the longest sledge run in the world, which I thought would be pretty easy after all my skiing and stuff. I thought it would be cruisy, but it's I nearly died there. So the cons. So there is quite a few cons, I guess, if you look at first of all, expensive. Switzerland is one of the most expensive countries in the world. It was actually listed among the top few. So just to give you an idea, I remember I walked into a shopping center and I think I got like a loaf of bread, bananas, and like some chicken slices for the bread, and it cost like 30 AUD. So super expensive. And with that, you're not paid for the internship. So unless you're able to get Centrelink or grants or a scholarship, or you've saved up, you know, you have to just really look into the costs there. Accommodation. Again, because it's such an international city, the accommodation inside Geneva itself is super expensive. Like I was seeing that sometimes it can go up to like 2,100 a month shared. So super expensive. So what I decided to do was live away from this, Geneva. I ended up getting like a month and a half free because I looked after cats. So you can figure some stuff out. And yeah, there's a few other things as well. It's non-clinical. So if that's not your jam, you know, really think about that. Like I did a clinical elective beforehand and I want to experience the upside as well. And something I'm really interested in and you're really passionate about. But if you're not, I'd advise against it. And yeah, a lot of people come in with romanticized expectations of what the WHO is or what they're going to do. And if you don't have a clear vision, you might be disappointed. And yeah, the application process is a little bit ad hoc. So I know some people who got their approval for their placement like a few weeks before they had to leave. So yeah, so how to get an internship? It's pretty easy. You apply online. So it's slightly changed from when I was applying, but same process. You go online, you have to create an account, and then there's a long process. You have to talk about your visions, why you're interested in global health, etc., etc. They're really concerned about your, again, like the one before, they're concerned about your individuality and why you're interested, as opposed to so much your marks. And yeah, so those are the dates. You can look it up online. And yeah, and then you play the waiting game. You can play this optional thing where if you know exactly where you want to go, and this is, you know, dicey, you can email them and just to show your interest. Again, some people like it, some people don't, so you have to play your cards right there. And then finally, you might get a further interview. I had an email correspondence. Some people had Skype interviews, etc. So some advice I would have loved to know. So apply early. So like when application starts, just jump on it. And make your application really focused and show an understanding of the WHO and why you want to be there. When accepted, there's a lot of long forms to fill out and it ends up happening around exam periods sometimes. So set some time aside for that. And be sure to look up what insurance you need to get. It's a specific Schengen type insurance, and also check your visa. Even though Australian citizens can fly out there, you need to actually, you know, get a Schengen visa from the Switzerland Foreign Embassy in Sydney, so you need to take a day out for that. And yeah, when you're there, make the most of your time. So yeah, that's it from me. There are my contact details if you want to ask, talk to me. I generally reply. If I don't, just shoot me another message. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. So at this point, I know it's 8:30, so if anyone wants to leave, you're free to go. But we will have our student panel now. So Samudu is still here from the WHO, Nick, South Africa, Jackson, Alfred, who's also done electives in Vietnam and Thailand, if you want to ask about that, Jordana, Oxford, and Siobhan from Morocco. So, yeah, cool. Yes.
Sorry, we also have Anthony who is elective at the Morocco Hospital. Does anyone have any questions?
So
Yeah, so to apply, you just search like University of Oxford Medical Elective. They've got a great website, just all the information is there. My application is due in September. I literally didn't think I would do it, and then last minute I changed my mind, and so I had to express post everything. I did it on the last day, but I could have done it. Don't do that. But yeah, so it's all online, and then you have to print forms out and then post them. So just search that.
My question is for
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, you mentioned that it was kind of hard for you to participate in the language barrier. And do you regret choosing Morocco because of that?
I wouldn't say I regret it, but if I was going to do another elective, if I was going to do another elective, I wouldn't pick one in a country that I didn't speak the language. Just medically and learning wise, it does limit your opportunities. I did one long case while I was in Morocco and I needed to do it with an interpreter, and that was the most tiring thing of my life. But if you are going to go to a country that you do not speak the language, I recommend doing a surgical specialty, because at least you still get to see and observe some really cool things. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Victor?
So this is just a question to the panel. How did you guys go about contacting the relevant people?
Just leave it down here. Just leave it.
So most universities, or most hospitals rather, if you know the hospital, they'll be affiliated with the university, and if you apply through the university medical school, is generally the way it most of the time will work. So one, find out either a hospital that you want to go to, and or two, find the university that you want to go to the hospital affiliated from and look up their medical school.
Yeah, and so I had a similar experience with you when I did insurance as well, so through universities and stuff. But there's another way to fill out. So it's an online application, but each department has their own email address, so you can start from there.
Sorry, for those listening online, the question was, how do you contact the relevant person in each hospital that you want to go to?
So mine was through the online application, and I just submitted the areas that I was interested in doing. But I do know other students who contacted directly potential supervisors. You sort of had to be in the know, you had to know someone to be able to do that. And it was kind of probably looked down upon to do that. Like it was better to apply just through the online website. Yeah,
So for the Alfred, I just pop on the Alfred hospital website. I think the one that's associated with Monash University, and then there's an email there as well. But what else you can do, you can also look through the Electives network. So I think everyone should be a member of MBA National, and they have a free subscription to the Electives network. And you can search for any hospital in the world through there, and generally they'll have reviews of the hospital, contact information for you to contact to apply for that elective.
So mine was all done through ANSA by FMSA, which made it really easy. I just had to do the one application through the, you go to the ARMS website and then go to elective resources and then apply for ANSA, and then I think they just contacted all the possible hospitals in Morocco that I could have gone to and sent me back information about which, like what their specialties were and the information, and then I picked one, and then I had to wait a few months for them to get back to me, but yeah, it was still really simple and easy, so that's one good thing about ANSA, you don't have to contact anyone really.
Yeah, so mine was similar. So I had Flying Doctors was affiliated with Broken Hospital, which was affiliated with University of Sydney Medical School. I didn't know that, so I just keep calling. And just if they say that's not me, I'm not responsible. I just say, all right, put me through who it is, and usually after about 4 or 5 reconnects, you get to the right person. And with a lot of these, like you'll make contact with them. It takes a long time to get a reply after time you think you get the elective. Like 4 months later, you get something. And it's always urgent for them to send documentation within 2 days after you've got 4 months. But It's generally just how it is. So don't beat this up anyway in a while. Just get caught. You'll find someone responsible eventually.
Well, it's directed towards Nick, but what were the sort of criteria they were looking at, or anyone actually they have consistent criteria they were looking towards in your application?
So for the hospital I went to, at the time I applied for it, they just had a waiting list, so I actually had to apply 3 years in advance. Now they've changed them, they don't take applications beyond 12 months, but anecdotally it's about a week and then it fills up. So in terms of criteria, you need to be a penultimate or final year student. So for us, between ND3 and 4, it's pretty much first in, best dressed, with a sort of marks cut off of about 70, which most people will get. Yeah.
And you know where to go. Like, there's so many different places, and you just, I don't know, yeah, I really like that. You can't really look at all.
I think work out what your priorities are, work out what you want to get out of it. Whether that's travel, then probably based on country, whether it's using the language you know, pretty simple, whether it's a specialty or a type of experience. So you might be looking for a really academic experience or a really hands-on experience, and things based on that. Speak to older year level students and get their feedback.
Yeah, also another thing to think about is like, it sounds so negative to think about it this way, but like everything's sort of like an opportunity cost. So don't do things just for the sake of like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like, you know, what I found myself was just sitting down and just trying to meditate on what you really enjoy, or like what sort of topics you like, or you know, what fringes of medicine, etc. So.
Yeah, it was similar for me. I had spoken to a previous MD4 who had done the Oxford elective and really enjoyed it. And she had mentioned how great the teaching was, and I really wanted that. I thought we didn't quite get as much neurosciences as I would have liked in my MD2 year. It's an area that I'm really interested in, and I want the opportunity to see some really specialist things and be at the forefront of some incredible clinical trials and learn under some great professors. So that's what I chose.
Similar to Joey, I was really interested in anesthetics. Just not based on what I wanted to get out of it. I want to do instructions, I want to do practice skills, and that's why I think Alfred.
I guess there's 3 considerations. One's like if you want to experience global health in a different type of country's healthcare, or if you want to go somewhere that it's translatable to your current like skill base and they have the same sort of resources. Another thing would be like specialty-wise, like if it's something that you want to do in the future or something you want to rule out. I did surgery just to give it one last shot, and now I don't want to be a surgeon. And then, yeah, country-wise, go for the travel. The travel's amazing.
Yeah, so I agree with what everyone else said. With me, I didn't want to go anywhere too expensive or exotic because I didn't want to spend that much time working. I was there. You can get a lot out of it still. I didn't want to go to America because I just said that working like dogs like 8 hours a week. So I was like, I wanted to have a learning experience, something like stay over. Another thing you can do, like if you just want to, sort of buff your resume, like you're not interested in specialty or anything like that, go to one of these local hospitals. Anecdotally of getting your foot in the door at all at a certain hospital will help in your application process. So like, just remember your board experience at Vincent's, if you've been there for an elective or research, they'll grant you an automatic interview, or hospitals maybe their own applicants. So you can use it if you're not too interested in some of the more exotic ones like you've heard tonight. It can be a good stepping stone to some of those internships in Victoria. But yeah, like I'd use it, honestly, I feel a gap that you're hoping to fill, like you're not getting enough anesthetics, engaging in interests, so, in emergency, do an emergency-based one, something like that. If you want to do travel, do it, but I recommend stay a few weeks over. I wouldn't know that much, not much seen Broken Hill, but from what other people told me, like do your 4 weeks work and then stay like 2 or 3 weeks extra, something like that. So, that'd be my recommendation.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if any of you have done or in the John Flynn program, and if you are, how have you worked out with other electives? And if you're not, would you recommend dropping the John Flynn child and doing elective? I'm more interested in John Flynn.
I'm not John Flynn, but I'd say like again, I guess assess why you're doing it. Like, and as if you're really passionate about the rural health sort of program, I recommend stay in. We need a lot of rural doctors out there, so if you're interested in that, definitely do it. And plus, it's a long, the whole program, from my understanding, from the program, so long term, so you're going to get a lot of experience in this application, which is big props if you want to do that. But if not, again,
I'm not 100% sure because I'm not in John Flynn, but I believe you signed a contract at the start for 8 weeks, so you might actually not be able to get out of that contract or have consequences for breaking contracts. So, anyway.
There was a few John Flynn students on the RFDS case. They were doing like CP. I went with the RFDS doing a placement that I was John Flynn around Broken Hill, and some of them did get the odd like overlays coming to flights. So they asked, they said, "I'm interested. While I'm here, do you mind if I book in a couple of flights, something like that?" They were allowed to still take part. I heard from one of them that you can't go to Antarctica or John Flynn, but there's only one spot apparently. But this is anecdotal evidence, so look into it. Yeah, so no one is from John Flynn. So, yeah, you need an elective appendicectomy. I always send you out an appendix. Again, I don't know if that's anecdotal or not. I have heard that. Yeah, none of us have really done John Flynn.
So for the electives that take a while for the application to be processed, is it better to apply really early on or wait until maybe MD2 or MD3 until you potentially have a puffed up or puffed up resume?
It's not really under resume, it's just getting it on time. And a lot of them, like your 30s and I, they're not on marks, it's on individual qualities, why you want to do it there. It's like there's people coming from all over the world, it's always going to be 800 students applying. So if you compete with Holland, probably won't get it, to be honest. But yeah, it's more about your individual characters, qualities. Getting in on time is like just going to straight up exclude you if it's too late. I'd say apply by February.
Is that February
or
MD1 or MD2?
I'd like, if it was me, again, I'd wait till you have clinical experiences. It'll be useless if you haven't done anything.
So my application was probably one of the longest waiting times. I had to apply in September MD2 to go on placement from between MD3 and MD4. I know people who applied MD1 and went on placement between MD2 and MD3, but when you do that, when you apply, you have to put down what specialties you're interested in. And you've never done any clinical medicine yet, you really have no idea what specialties you're interested in. So I'd probably wait, because like, when you don't get that many opportunities, it's expensive to go. So like, wait until you see what you're interested in doing. And in terms of bumping up your CV, doesn't really matter too much. It's more about making yourself individual. Like 1 year is really not going to change much. But whatever you do, make your application individualised to who you are, because they're essentially just reading a piece of paper. For my application, I know of thousands of applications, and there's not that many places that are available. That's not to say that you can't do it. I mean, anyone can do it, but you have to just make yourself stand out. And it's not through CV, it's through what you write and how you study yourself.
Any final questions? No?
Yeah. So, like, obviously Australia has a lot of stuff going on in medicine in terms of you could have done sort of neuro stuff in somewhere in Australia. Someone else could have done whatever they wanted in Australia. What's it like? This sounds kind of stupid, but like, what are the advantages of going overseas when there's so much going on in Australia?
So I think it's going overseas, as well as going to a different health system to what you're used to working in, has a whole number of benefits, largely from understanding how health systems work. If you've only worked in one health system, you don't appreciate it's just the health system. It's not this aspect of the health system is working well or not. So working in any other health system gives you an appreciation for ours and how it works and how it doesn't work, areas for improvement. It also gives you an appreciation for the clinical experience that we get and the opportunities that we have here. There's also, so I was very ethically conflicted in going to my elective. I spoke to about close to 20 students who've been performing to work out if I thought it was ethically justifiable. And something to consider in the placements that you go to is that, and for me, it was essentially that you're not just free for all. There's a real need. You get a lot of teaching and supervision in the placement, and you're only allowed to do things within your ability. Now, within your ability in a different health system is different to what we call within our ability here, because we're not given any responsibility here. So you're given a responsibility within your ability, which depending on your view, one might consider unethical, but I think it's just a different health system, and that's part of the benefit of going into
So obviously I was working in the NHS, which is very similar to medical health, to the Australian medical health system, but not identical. So even if you went to a country which is very similar to Australia in a lot of ways, there are a lot of differences that you can pick up on. Also, traveling overseas by yourself, learning to live in a different place by yourself, like essentially going to a place where you don't know anyone, has great opportunities for you as a person. And so that's one of the things that I really enjoyed, was growing as a person, because I had to push myself to do things I wouldn't otherwise do in a different country where I didn't know anyone else.
I guess it's true, like there is a lot of good things happening here in Australia, and like if you're looking to like learn specifically that will help you later on in your career, I guess Australia would be ideal, but there's so many good learning opportunities overseas for global health and experiencing different cultures and where different people do things. So yeah, it just depends.
You've got 2 sets of holidays you can do too. The local one's pretty cheap, you just stay home and do Victorian Hospital. So I mean, like Jackson is Alfred because they had Burns experience here at medical school. So there's advantages to doing that. I chose mine because I wanted to go back to sort of the fundamentals. I didn't want to rely on investigations like we do in hospitals. So I thought a rural setting's good, so there's those benefits. Other countries, you'll see exotic conditions you don't see here. So, you know, if you're in a Southeast Asian country, malaria might be the top of your fever differential here. It's quite close to the bottom. So there's different advantages. You've got to think what you want to get out of it. You know, so if you want, there's nothing wrong with saying you want to stay in Australia because we're at the forefront of certain areas. If you're interested in that area, go for it. If you want sort of travel, I definitely agree with Giordano about the character building, moving somewhere where you know no one. It's yeah, definitely changes. You can come back quite different. Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons to stay by with panel members. So you know, there's no sort of one answer. I think.
Last question. Wendy, did you have one?
Yeah, mine's really similar.
Cool. Okay. All right, one more.
Did you apply to only one elective, and if you applied to multiple, did you have to decline?
I applied to only one. I applied to 3 different countries, and I got my second preference. So, and then I was set, so I didn't need to decline any others.
I was in the process of applying to many, but then they sent me up like an admitted thing, so I sort of pulled out from the others. But lots of people, I'm sure, it's going to go approach. Apply to lots of places. Just be concerned for other students if you do want a place and you want to take it. I suppose sort of let the other services you apply to know so they can, you know, give that spot to other students. But yeah, I'd say probably choose me, maximise your chances.
I applied to RMH and Alfred. RMH doesn't take US students for some electives because they're just going to do that in your 4th year.
I only applied to Oxford, but because it was only because my application for that was so early that I still had time if I wasn't accepted to look into other options. So I definitely was looking into going to Sri Lanka as well. But it just happened that that application got approved in the November of my MD2 year. It then took a while to organise everything else, but I knew early on that that's where I was going to go, and I wanted to take opportunities. So it's the only one I had applied for.
Yeah, so I only applied for the literature as well that year, so last year. But I was in the process of potentially applying for a few others as well. So I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so I applied 3 years ahead, and so got my offer well ahead of time. So
Okay. We might do the prize draw. I know there are not that many people left, so if you want to grab your raffle tickets, I'm just gonna. I don't know how many we're gonna have to go through. Yeah. Okay, Nick's gonna pick it.
So the first book is Emergency Medicine, which I used in Johannesburg. It's awesome. Purple D100. Not yeah. Will we just keep picking?
Yeah,
until we get one? Too bad for them. Purple D99. And the next one is MC Paramedic. Purple D82. Too bad. They're all purple, aren't they? Okay, D98. Yeah. Oh.
D98.
Awesome. All right.
So excited about it. Okay, thank you. All right, thanks guys for coming. Thanks for bearing with us. Okay. The recording, if anyone's interested, will eventually go on. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Oh, just while you're still here, thank you. A huge thank you to my Stockholm and thank you to so Michael and Hitu, Wendy and Jason, if you want. If you want contact details, come to us as well. Get that out. Thanks.
Yeah. You good?
Yeah. I think